Hello, and welcome to Hobby Hangout, episode 4, I think.
4?
I think so.
3?
No, maybe.
1?
Days collide in quarantine.
They do indeed.
I had to break the news to my boyfriend today that it was not Friday. And he was heartbroken. I was driving him to work and he was like, "Oh man, and it's Friday." And I was like, no, not. It is Thursday.
Wow. That's great. And he's been going to work.
What?
How did he lose track of days? He's been going to work.
I can't answer that question.
Oh, okay.
We're two halves of one functional human being.
Right, okay.
Human being. No. Two different functional halves of human beings.
Right.
It's just been that kind of week. That's the kind of week it's been, where he just doesn't know and I get attacked by bugs, and it's
Fantastic.
It's just how it is.
Nice. So how are you doing, Leona? Is Leona frozen again?
Good. Sorry.
Glitching, but okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Wacky says 4. So we're going to go with Wacky's understanding of it.
I trust anyone called Wacky.
I know you do.
Thank you.
The cat icons sealed the deal. I was like, that's
right.
a trustworthy person. They can count.
Nice. That's good. But yes, let's go with that.
So
then.
Dave, what have you been up to this past week?
This past week, I mentioned last week that I was going to let my daughters cut my hair.
I saw that.
So that's what they did. Went nice and short around the sides. So that was with the trimmers, the clippers, sort of very quickly. And then when I got to the top of the hair, I tried to explain to them how the barber goes along and like pulls up a chunk of hair and then clips along the top of their fingers and does that at random spots all over the top and then evens it out. But I don't think they grasped the concept completely. So it's at many varying lengths at the moment. So I have it all smushed down. But then we dyed it twice and discovered that my hair doesn't really like to take hair dye. So.
Well, you didn't bleach it out first.
Well, even the white hair didn't take it.
Because when your hair is gray, it has a different structural integrity than non-gray hair.
Okay.
It actually is.
Okay, you can say when you're old.
Fun facts.
Thanks, Gretchen.
Your hair is no longer the same.
Yes. Okay.
But you can change it. You just have to. You'd have to start by putting a different kind of deposit in. I didn't pay attention to that part of the random YouTube video I was watching all bored. Right. Like, this doesn't pertain to me.
I don't need to do stuff for old people. Okay, that's fair. But so it was one of those things where I didn't know what it would look like with they had the teal hair color, what it would look like through there. So we just went for it. And then when it didn't work out, I was like, well, let's try it again. And it didn't work out the second time. And I was kind of disappointed, I will admit. But
you know what you can do though? You can get the hair wax, like colored, and just zhoosh that in there.
Mess around with that. I can try that. That'll be fine.
Yeah. Get some...
But it was funny. Also at the weekend, my wife was worried that she was getting a little bit of a mullet, so I had to do a little bit of a trim at the back of her hair to get rid of that. And my youngest Lucy decided that she wanted to not completely shave, but sort of cut it right down with the number 1. So this short on the side of her hair, the left side of her head. So we
That's fun.
did that.
Hair grows back.
Kind of looks like Cressida from the Hunger Games. Natalie Dormer's character. So
I like that.
Yep. And the hair coloring goes really well for her hair.
That's very cool.
Yeah, if my hair were thicker, I'd try that. I have thin hair, though. I can't do undercuts. I don't have enough hair for that.
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought Lucy would have either, but it did work. So that was good. So yeah, that's kind of the highlight of the week.
You had a much better week than I had.
Yeah. I didn't have to run from anything.
You didn't have to run from anything. He's making fun of me. So I here, like, turn this slightly. I keep going off my own screen as I try. So I sprained my knee running from a cricket. I thought I saw a spider in my defense. It was a spricket, a camel cricket, and they jump towards you in a strange show of self-defense.
Right.
And I, in my fleeing, in thinking that I saw a spider, I slammed into something and I almost dislocated my kneecap. But I didn't.
Yeah. Hooray! Just a sprained
knee. Yeah, I just sprained and bruised everything.
Well, it seems like that approach of their approach of charging it something.
It did work.
It worked.
It was. I wasn't the predator that it needed to
to scare off.
Scare off, no, but it did. It did in fact use its biology in a good way.
Right.
Definitely would not have eaten it.
Nice.
So
how's everybody in the chat? How have you all been? Wacky Wacky says, I fell asleep at the end of one of my classes today, so I feel Gretchen's week. Yes. No. Byron has noticed that we've lost Leona.
Oh no.
Leona is having...
She comes back.
Oh, she's there. But
yeah, I'm there in audio. It's just it's not perfect today.
No, having some a little bit of glitchiness on that end, but that'll be okay. Excellent. So my friend Chris Layfield is down in Florida. Hey, Chris. Chris is on a work call, but he's discovered that he can mute his work call so that he can listen to us. Also, he needs to say miss instead of kiss. That's what I'm going to say. Excellent. We also got a lot of good work done this week. Roger Moore is doing great and teaching from home. If I didn't say it last week, I will say it this week. My top hat is off to you, Roger, for teaching from home. I've been super impressed with my daughter's school. The teachers and administration there are doing great. And I can't imagine the amount of work that they've had to pull together to completely switch gears and keep the kids learning. So fantastic. My hat is off to all educators right now.
I'm so happy I'm not one of those anymore. My Facebook reminded me back whenever I was teaching. It was like, remember when? And I was like, oh boy, do I.
Yeah.
More.
That's fine.
No, I enjoyed it. It was its thing. It was good while it was there.
So what have you been working on, Gretchen?
So I'm gonna paint some waves. Oh, look, you can actually kind of see color this time. There we go. I have been looking up quite a few tutorials about how to get that kind of translucent effect.
Okay.
So I'm gonna attempt to do that. Not that I have any of those tutorials in front of my face right now, but I'm just going for it.
Okay, awesome.
I am gonna try to get that nice translucency effect with building up color with kind of the yellows and seafoam greens in the center, and then trying to get some really nice contrast build up with the rest of it, and maybe get some nice stormy seafoam things going on.
Cool. Excellent.
So very monochromatic color palette today.
There's a model that I think it's going to be very interesting to see how you go with that translucency kind of feel. There's a model that Games Workshop showed off in their latest preview over the weekend. They've done, this is like their third online preview that they've done since the lockdown, and it's an elf model with basically it's sculpted with a veil, the translucent veil over its face, and the way that it's been painted is just magnificent. Absolutely.
Translucency is hard.
Yeah.
Whether it's in minis or on a canvas, I feel like getting that translucent vibe is really difficult to do nicely. Yeah.
Yep. It's definitely tough to work hard at it. But yeah, if that works out well on the waves, I think we'll have to get that model when it is released.
Yeah.
So that you can paint it on the show.
I'll be learning. It's easier to practice.
Who is that made by?
Techniques large scale before having to try them on minis.
What was that question, Leona? Oh.
Who is that mini by?
Games Workshop. I'll see if I can
Gotcha.
find it and pop it in the chat. But yeah, it was a really amazing paint job in there. So, but
great stuff. So yeah, welcome to Hangout. I'm hoping I'm playing Flesh Terrors. It's fine.
What?
Don't know how that happened. Right on the Warhammer community side.
Also, I want to say Clive Mills. Hello to Thomas Roche. Unfortunately, he got laid off, but he's getting a lot of painting done.
Boo! Sorry to hear that, Tom. Yeah, definitely get some painting done.
So we feel for you.
Pardon?
And also, hello to Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Dave.
And there's
And Jeff Hall.
Jeff Hall. Woohoo! Hey, Jeff. Is listed the model name there. So yeah, here we go. Here's a link to the reveals from what's over there. Oh no, I can't put it in there. I'll send it to the owner somehow
Through the private chat.
Yeah, and then Leona can put it up.
Oh no!
There we go.
Okay.
But yes, as Jeff said there, it's for the Lumineth, which is their new elf army. That's going to be coming out later, sometime, whenever. We're not sure when.
One day.
Yes.
One day when things are back to normal.
Yep. There we go. But I just want to give a bit of a shout out to Jeff and the team at Games and Stuff. I was able to place an order with them, and it was shipped and arrived yesterday, which I'm super excited about. It's my next project once I finish working on my Slaves to Darkness Chaos Army. So some people like what this looks like, but it's part of a Chaos Night for Warhammer 40,000. So I have a few of those that are going to be on the way and building those up, which is going to be cool. So I think I'm at about coming close to painted 80 models since the beginning of February. So
That's a lot of models.
it's not too bad. Not too bad.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. I've got about 10 left for this Chaos Army, so really excited to move on to something else. I think I'm enjoying them. Don't get me wrong, but
Mark Banner says, waiting for paint to dry is so much faster than waiting in the mail.
Yes. Waiting for paint to arrive in the mail is incredibly long and tedious. For sure. And running out of brass, that's never good. Never good. It's not quite as bad as running out of like black and white, but
ooh, yeah,
running out of either of those is the worst. But yeah, they're all good. But yeah, so I'm still working on some of the Vanguard. Oh, and I'll just interrupt my talking about this to point out that yep, if you want to jump on the Games and Stuff Facebook page tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Summertime or Eastern Daylight Time, Jeff's going to be doing a stream, which will be cool. But yeah, so finishing off this guy. I finished off the other two, apart from their bases, so I'm excited about that. But these models are huge, absolutely huge. Because that's a regular guy next to them. Thankfully, they're plastic. So they're all good.
Yeah, I find with minis and acrylics, that base coat is always something that takes me the longest because it's always like, oh, gotta make sure it's nice and neat and everything. But with canvas painting and acrylics, it's always like, slap on the paint, get the canvas covered.
Yep.
Like the less you spend fussing over the perfection of your initial coat of acrylics, the quicker you'll move on to fussing over the last little detailings.
Yeah, for sure. But on minis, you want to make sure you have that nice, smooth surface to work everything else up from.
And I mean, on canvas, I like to have texture. That's the big difference between working on canvas and working with minis. Is when I work on a canvas, if it's not smooth, I don't care.
Right.
Because the texture can be worked up and built with and have a really nice end effect. Where with minis, I can't do that.
Right.
I can't do that at all.
Yeah, it can be tough. And you can do that with minis. You can mess around. You don't have to worry about sort of getting super smooth areas and that kind of thing. And it definitely gives that very painterly effect.
True. I feel like it would be clunky if I tried it on a mini, though. It has to be a big mini.
Right. I think it's definitely there. I think there are minis that can work well on, and minis where it won't work as well. But I think it's if you've freed yourself up enough to be able to do that, take that sort of approach. I know I certainly can't. But
does this mean we need to get a big mini so I can try to just paint it like a canvas?
I think you should. Yeah, definitely.
I don't think it'll work on a small one, at least not at first. I feel like that would have to be something to work up to.
Yeah.
Very painterly kind of vibe for minis.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to suggest people take a look at the work of a painter by the name of Roman Lepart. Roman, so R-O-M-A-N, Lepart is L-A-P-P-A-T. He's a German painter who, over the last few years in particular, has really been pushing a painterly style to his work, and he's got a brilliant understanding of color and tone and that kind of thing. And it's just a real treat to look at his minis as well.
I love things that end up painterly. I just enjoy it. It's my vibe. It's my jam.
Yeah. There's another mini that just popped up online yesterday that I didn't even think to send to Leona. I should have done it. I'll pop a link into the group later. But it's from a Russian painter by the name of 𝙬𝙧𝙤𝙀𝙖𝙢 𝙤𝙀𝙀𝙀, and we're talking sort of the opposite end of painterly approach. It's basically like a photorealistic approach to it.
I can appreciate the photorealism as well. That's difficult. I feel like I don't have enough patience for photorealism.
Yeah,
is my problem.
No, I hear you for sure. But this particular piece, like 𝙬𝙧, for the last 4 or 5 years, has really been pushing his metallics, or his non-metallic metals, and reflections and that sort of thing, bringing showing the environment around the model through reflections on the on armor plates. Oh,
that sounds really cool, but also really intense.
Yeah, it is definitely super intense. But he's this latest piece has a big sort of full helmet. It's a medieval piece, big full helmet that is like super highly polished steel look, and it's I think it's like a Joan of Arc representation, and she's holding this banner. So she has a banner pole, and this banner is flowing out behind her, and it comes around behind the helmet, and he's painted the reflection of the banner in the helmet.
That's a lot of dedication.
It is. It's amazing.
That'd be so difficult to do. Oh man, because when you're painting reflections in metal, they're warped.
Yeah.
Like the warped. Oh.
But it's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to try and find it as well. So give me a second, folks. Find a picture that I can send to the owner. Here we go.
Sounds good. Once you send it, I'll post it.
Yep.
A question I had for today.
Yeah.
Would you like to questions I grabbed?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Go for it.
All right.
There it is. Sorry. Okay, Leona. Send this through.
Are you able to see it? Oh, okay.
Oh, so what was the first question you got?
Okay, sorry. My first question was, if you could redo your journey from a beginner painter.
What would we do differently?
Yes.
That is a good question. I'm not sure. I think because I can't remember when I learnt things along the way. So it's kind of it's a strange one.
I think if I were to change anything, because I mean, I started doing art classes since like elementary school. My mom put me in private art classes.
Right.
I think the only thing I would technically like change is my ability to care as much, like not to say care less,
right?
To not inhibit my own self.
Right. Okay.
So to care less, to get more.
Sure. Care, to worry less about the result and enjoy the journey more.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
To not quite stress so much about every nitpicky little thing, because I feel like I paint better when I don't think.
Okay.
The less brain cells I use whenever I paint, the better I typically paint a thing. The more I'm like super wrapped up in something, the more I tend to not paint as well.
Right.
So
That makes sense. That's a good one. But yeah, I gotta admit, I'm not at all sure. I think I'm kind of, because I'm really happy with where my painting's at the moment. I guess the journey was okay.
yeah.
I think everybody, when it comes to miniature painting, everyone has a fairly different journey along the way. There'll be times when they're very happy with their painting. There'll be times when they aren't at all happy with their painting. But yeah, so I don't know.
I mean, with mini paintings specifically, I've only been painting minis for like about a little bit more than a year now.
And I bet you the thing you're going to say is, I wish I'd had a better teacher.
have you been teaching? No.
Even better. No, all good.
Okay, we can blame Rick. No, I mean, I feel like I've been having a very nice journey with painting minis. It's definitely been interesting because from start to finish, I've been on the show. My first time painting a mini was my first episode on the show.
Right.
So I've been able to kind of track this progress, and sometimes I end up with minis that I really, really like, and sometimes I'm like, oh no, I tried a thing and it didn't work. Dave, fix it. So I think that it's, I don't think I'd change anything quite about that. It's been very fun to learn everything kind of on the fly.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's good. I think that's neat. Now, because this Leona hasn't been able to put up this photo yet, I'm going to blame her internet. It's a good one. It's worth the wait. Yeah. I think the second question, if I'm not wrong. Oh, sorry. We'll take a question from the chat. I think Roger
Moore.
Says, I'm painting the D&D Ravenloft board game minis, similar ones in other games of the line. Some are transparent blue, but I want to use that. Is there something to prep them besides washing to get the paint to stick? Hit them with a gray wash followed by purple wash. Looks okay, but wondering going forward. For those translucent areas, if you're having trouble getting at washes or things where you want to change the tint or the tone or the hue of the translucent area, if you hit it with a matte varnish first, the matte varnish will give you a little bit of a very fine, super fine gritty texture on there, which will help those other paints or washes that you're painting over the top stick to it. But almost like a primer, but obviously you aren't putting an opaque paint over with that with the varnish. And typically, I think I'd go with a spray varnish, but so you can do it with like a paint on varnish. But yeah, matte varnish will help you out there. Hey, Mike G. Byron says his first mini was Star Trek. My goodness, like some of those Star Trek ships. I wonder who made Star Trek minis back in the day. Byron. I don't know. Cool. I'm glad it sounded like sense, Roger. But Thomas is asking, do you ever go back to older minis and redo them, or do you keep them? I never go back and redo them. I think 999 times out of 1,000, I don't go back and redo. I'll just sort of put those minis aside or stick them in the cabinet or even use them on the table. But yeah, typically I'll just go back and well, I won't go back, but I'm trying to think of a situation where I have just repainted or painted a completely new set to replace an old set of minis. I can't really do that. Can't really think of them. But yeah, just keep moving forward. It's better to paint new minis than to redo old ones, I think.
I like that philosophy.
Yeah.
Very Dory of you.
Just keep swimming. Yeah. Just keep painting. Clive Mills asks, "What's the most outrageous mini you have ever painted?" Question. I think that one. If Gretchen is what's the most outrageous color scheme you've put on a mini?
The most outrageous color scheme. I think my favorite has been the
Say it again.
The rainbow fish dragon.
Oh yeah.
The dragon to look like a rainbow fish, like the rainbow fish from the children's book.
Right.
That was definitely, I think, my favorite. And I think it turned out really well too. I was very fond of how it turned out.
Cool. That's good. My most outrageous mini. I'm not sure. The biggest one I ever painted was a Warlord Titan for 1/40,000 scale, which is about this tall. So it took me over the course of 6 months. I assembled and painted it. Not working on it all the time, but yeah, that's probably the most outrageous mini that I've ever done. But Byron says his Star Trek was to set the USS Reliant and crew from FASO Games. Oh, looks like Roger and Byron are about to discuss Tactical Simulator. But yeah.
Here's another question for you guys.
Oh, cool.
How important should it be for a beginner painter to understand color theory?
I think that it's very helpful. I don't think that it is 110% necessary. If that's something where you want to toss it to the wind and go in blind, you're still going to pick it up as you go. But I do think that taking an afternoon and looking up color theory is going to give you some foundational ideas and skill sets that are going to make painting easier long term. So yeah, I think it's important. I think that getting a grasp on the color wheel and how paints mix and how lighting affects paints and how different colors next to each other kind of affect each other, those are all things that are going to give you kind of a foundation to work off of. Whereas if you don't look those things up or learn some of those things, you're going to have a harder time, not a harder time, but a longer time kind of figuring them out on your own.
I think that answer is completely fair. Yeah, no, I agree. It's not something that you don't have to know immediately, but I think I would recommend taking two approaches. One is, yeah, spend an afternoon looking it up, looking through it.
It's not complex.
About it, yeah. As I said, it's an afternoon which will give you all the basics that would be very helpful for moving on to miniature painting. Beyond that, if you choose not to do that, I would recommend that the approach, or one approach that you bring into painting your models is look at miniatures, look at miniatures that you like, make a collection of miniature color schemes that you like, and draw on those for inspiration for your own miniature painting choices, color choices, that kind of thing. And then when you do get around to having a look at color theory, then go back and have a look at those things that you chose, and you'll go, oh, that's why I liked that. Oh, that's why that worked for me. You'll have a nice, might give you sort of a deeper understanding then of why each of those color schemes that you chose, that you liked, that you sort of put aside onto a Pinterest board or something, why those worked for you, why those were interesting. So that's what I'd recommend. Hey, Dave. Hey, Dave Moffat.
Hey.
Hey, Scott. Welcome, welcome.
Speaking of older minis, what do you do with minis you painted but no longer use? Mine are starting to pile up. I think Dave and I are going to have very different answers.
Quite possibly.
So I have my favorites that I keep, and I have them on a shelf. But I am notoriously bad about if I am at a convention and I have a bunch of minis painted up, I will usually go home with about half of them, because if a small child grabs a mini, or even an adult, and they're like, this is so cool, I love this, this could be good in my game, I'm like, take it. Because I don't play enough. I play D&D and I play other RPGs, but I don't always play what our minis go to. And I don't always have a storyline for them to go with. And I am weak when other people are super excited and happy about it. And I do it with my paintings too. When I used to have artist alley tables and booths at conventions, I would just give away paintings, which is why I could never be a professional artist. Business sense. So I have my favorites that I would not give away that stay at home. And then I have pretty much anything that, you know, a friend that I know could use, that they're in a session. I have a friend who's in like 10 different D&D sessions, and I'll be like, oh, this looks like a character you need, or that kind of thing. Then they end up there. I am bad. I give them away notoriously. Everyone in this chat is thinking about every different mini I've ever painted on the show, like, oh.
Yeah. Have you given away the rainbow fish dragon?
I have not, because I really do like that one, and I do want to DM a game with it. So like I said, I don't just, you know, give away all of them. Right. I just happen to, if I see a home that I know they're going to have a better time in, particularly whenever I've gone to conventions for Game Trade Media and I've had minis with me. It's just been like, oh, we're all part of the community, and you were talking about this game. Oh, I have a mini perfect for that game. Here you go. Like,
cool. Yeah.
It's about community. It's about happiness. It's about, you know. But I have all the dinosaurs that I've painted. And I do have many of my dragons and my absolute favorites in a box. And I'm hoping to one day be able to DM a game with my favorites where I can just at random pull out different minis and have that be whatever everyone's fighting against. I don't know. I've been contemplating different ways to kind of incorporate it all together, and kind of some weird kind of homebrew thing.
Okay.
So some get gifted away, some get squirreled away. I just, you know.
Yep. Oh, that's cool. My answer is quite different. Surprise, surprise. No, I generally tend to keep most of the stuff that I paint. If it's painted for an army or a larger grouping, it'll end up in a miniatures case of some kind, and stacked. Most of them are stacked just over there, just over that way. sometimes smaller projects or one-off groups, they'll just end up moving around from shelf to shelf to shelf, to basically any sort of horizontal surface that'll hold them. I have a couple of bookshelves upstairs where my favorite armies live, on the shelves there. And occasionally when I strike really dire financial times, I will sell them off. So there was probably, how long ago was it? 5 years, 6 years ago, maybe longer. I had blown a head gasket in my car, and I needed some work done on it, and it was going to cost way more than I had, and I didn't have enough to be able to put a deposit down on a new car, so I sold off a couple of armies and was able to pay off my repair bill. So it was good. But after that, my wife said to me, "How many armies do you have?" And I had to honestly answer her with, "I have no idea. I don't know anymore." But so I'll just keep painting more, and eventually they'll get me out of a jam. So that's what I do with my old ones, Mike G.
I could probably, now that I'm thinking, now you've tainted my giving away theory, because I really want to get another cat. And now I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Maybe I should sell a dragon or two. Fund my kitten expenses.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes you got to do that. You got to do that kind of thing. But yeah, so that's what I would do with mine. But I have a lot. But yeah, David Moffat made a good suggestion, but it looks like Mike G is already doing that. But the suggestion was play some more miniatures agnostic games. So starting a new game system, you don't have to buy a whole bunch of new miniatures if you already have a large collection. Of course, it's still fun to paint up a whole new army or warband or group or whatever it might happen to be for that new game system. But somebody on Facebook that is just coming through as Facebook user, as I would love to receive a giveaway. Any piece I could use for a measure of my abilities.
Oh, I don't know who you are. I would send you something. That's my trouble, though. If I do that, then Game Trade Media would be like, Gretchen, you need to.
You can't give everything away.
You have enough gum for the class. That's what comes into my brain. Because I would just be like, someone would be like, Gretchen, give me a mini, and I'd be like, yeah. And then I'd have like 50 people in my DMs like, give me. Yeah. Like, oh, I don't know if I have enough.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Maybe not now. What have you done? But yeah. No, that's good.
Would you guys like to look at some miniatures from the group?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Dave, ringing.
Sorry. I will turn it off.
Oh.
I have no idea who that was. There we go. Phone is off now. Yes, that'd be great if we can have a look through some minis. I'm going to move the thing and pull this out so I can see it nice and big. Oh, cool.
Ooh.
That's looking great.
Light up ones very often.
Yeah, I'm loving the variety of sort of colors used on the stones to give that a little bit of depth and interest there. Looking really good, and I of course love the lighting.
Very nice.
Looks great. Very cool. So Hulk Reality, what are you using these? Who are we going to be using this for? I'm not sure, but it looks very cool. I'm very excited to see some games played on this. It's great. Robert Malik. Oh, it's painted up a Deathwatch Marine with a this crazy combi weapon, like a heavy bolter and a heavy flamer at the same time. I didn't know they had crazy stuff like that. Okay, Hulk Reality says he painted up that terrain for Dungeons and Dragons. It was very cool. But no, Robert, looking very cool. I'm loving the bright yellow that you've used in the lens up the top there on the back of the on the backpack. Looking cool. And yeah, picking out the brass on the shells there for the heavy bolter as well. Nice choices. Looking good. Yep, that section there. Very cool. Oh my goodness. Jeremy Warlander.
So many.
So many minis. It's hard to focus.
Take it over.
The one that's standing out for me, of course, is the teal one with the yellow shoulder pads. Yep.
Oh yeah.
These are all crazy. What are these? What are they? I feel like I should know, but it's really one of those things where it was because I didn't grow up in America that I didn't know these things.
I don't know those things, and I grew up in America, but I also grew up in like rural.
Yeah. And you grew up, like,
nowhere America.
You grew up in like the 2000s as well, so. But no, these are looking cool. I think the wide variety would have been a lot of fun to paint. Just picking out random colors and slapping them on. They look very cool. Nice one. Shirley has painted up a tree man. This is a crazy ant. Look at that.
Ooh.
How awesome is that?
That's a lot of texture.
Yeah. Yep. And I think the because of sort of the dark gray on the bark and the black at the end of the black talons,
Mm-hmm.
It's got a very evil kind of feel. However, I have just noticed the white lines on the base.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that this is a model to be used for Blood Bowl. It's the fantasy football game from Games Workshop. And by fantasy football, I don't mean sitting around picking your favorite players. It's football with fantasy characters.
I like the little jab there at jocks.
Right.
This isn't just your loser fantasy football. This
Loser fantasy football. Hey,
real fantasy football.
I used to get into fantasy football. I was in like 3 leagues every year. But yeah, sorry. So Shirley, that tree man looking really cool. Ryan, this crazy orc beast is amazing. A cleaver is awesome. But I think one of the things that I like the most about your paint job here, Ryan, is that rather than go with that dark metal that you've got on the inside of the shield or down in the chainmail or up in the cleaver, around the shoulders there, the shoulder plates, you've got that brighter gold going on, which helps keep everything and keeps everything focused in the center there on the face. So yeah, great job there. You can see it's like bright, everything's bright and shiny in the middle, and then it gets darker and duller as it goes out, expands out there. So yeah, good work. Cool. Oh, Art's been doing some painting with his son. I know that Art has Art's been painting up a lot of minis from board games recently. So I'm not sure what they're working on there, but it looks like a lot of spiders.
They can work.
Loads of tiny spiders. Just sticking them down to a stirrer stick so they can go out and prime them all at once. But very cool. Glad you did your fun with some there. Great. Ryan, this is looking very cool. Leona, did you get that image I sent through? Oh, do we still have?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Is it through the private chat?
No, I sent it through Facebook Messenger. The
Okay,
price wouldn't take
then
it.
I'll get that.
Cool. But yeah, Ariane here is going with some non-metallic metals for the armor and the sword, and there's a lot of fantastic work there. You can see that particularly down on the legs, he's putting a bit of green in there, some the green tint to reflect the sort of that reflection of the grass on the base. And also it looks like on the inside, like inside thigh, left leg, it has like a brownish reddish kind of thing, which is sort of reflecting the red of the tabard there. But looking awesome. Really nice job. That's a lot of tough work. Work on that non-metallic metal stuff. But yeah, beautiful. Oh, awesome. Very cool. Where is this wrestler from? This guy's crazy.
I like this dude.
Brian Cox, nice work. Looks great. Just think you've really, obviously there's a lot of stuff in the sculpt there, but I think you've really brought out that face. That big grin looks awesome. But,
He looks ready to go. He looks happy to be there.
Oh yeah, he's super excited about who he's going to take on with that mace. Well, that's flat. But yeah, looking great. Great. I watched a great documentary the other night, part of the sort of a behind the scenes look at professional wrestling.
How'd that go?
So yeah, this one just brings back memories of that. But yeah, looking great. Nice work, Brian. SLEEPWALKAIR, painting on a Hulk. Is this I'm trying to remember if this is the same sculpt as the Hulk for Marvel Crisis Protocol? But
I do not know.
You know, we were talking about the painterly approach.
Yeah.
Earlier, this is very much got that painterly approach. You can see there's great contrast. Obviously, there's a lot of light falling on the top of the Hulk, but as you get underneath his arms and sort of further down onto the abs, yeah, in around that area, it's obviously darker because that's the bottom of that kind of sphere of his torso, and then of course you got the bright green, popping out on the calf that's closest to us. Yeah, looking really good. Very nice work. And Croucher is painted up a trebuchet. This is from Lord of the Rings, from Games Workshop, Lord of the Rings range. This is a trebuchet you would have seen on the walls of Minas Tirith. I think this would also look pretty cool on the walls that Hulk Reality painted. I think that would be awesome. But yeah, these are looking really good. The yeah, I really like the construction of this trebuchet, and I think you've done a great job of painting it there, and getting in those around the weight, the heavy counterweight there. That's you can see the banding around it looks cool. No, that's the stone that it throws at the back there. There we go. That's the one. But yeah, looking really good, and I like the shiny helmets as well. Looking great. Nice work. Going at. Oh, Ashen Leaf Paintworks. And I was initially going to say an Imperial Fist, but then I saw the checkerboard work on the shoulder pad there, which makes me think it might be a Lamenter, another Space Marine chapter that's bright yellow. I painted some Lamenters in my time, but yeah, I really love the work on this. Those sort of the brown, sort of orangey browns that are in the shadows of that yellow look really nice. And also it's just enough of the sort of magenta in the base, and the brown on the model. Oh, there we go. We're back.
Are you freezing?
Pardon?
It sounded like you were freezing.
No, something froze, but no, this is looking great. Ashen Leaf, very nice. Okay. Wow, who's painted? These are from the Blackstone Fortress, Warhammer Crest Blackstone Fortress set. So there's a Crusader and a like a Confessor Preacher, and then an absolutely crazy Zealot with an awesome flamethrower chainsword. So I think 𝙂𝙖𝙢𝙤𝙢 is the name of the character on the right of our screens. But yeah, looking really good, David. I think each got that fantastic sort of look and personality going on. I love that sword as well. Yeah, I was just pointing that out with some. I'm going to wonder if that's a little bit of the athematic blue contrast paint over some silver. But yeah, it looks really good. Nice work all around.
Ooh,
Oh, Tony.
that looks like an album cover.
It does, doesn't it? I'm going to attribute some of that to the owner's placement of the name. But yeah, Tony, I think you've been painting this up. I think we saw, I think last night, I saw an almost finished version of this. So this is a herdstone, I think they're called. They might not be called that now, but it used to be called herdstones for the Beasts of Chaos army from Games Workshop. A big sort of bestial carved monolith. Obviously, sticks and twigs bundled together to form those horns at the top. Chaos runes carved into it. Looking really good. I'm loving the areas that have got the extra sort of rough paint over the top of the stone from the Beastman. Yeah, definitely cool. Nice work, Tony. Chris Gorka painted up these, and are these mole rats, Chris? I think they're mole rats.
They look like mole rats. I have a comment, and it's going to sound really weird. Just hear me out.
Weirder than the model?
Maybe.
Okay, go for it. Go for it.
So the way that you have painted the skin is so smooth that it looks soft.
You mean like plush?
I don't know if you've ever touched like a hairless animal before. I have. I used to have hairless rats.
Oh, okay, radio. Yeah.
Dave's like, and they have like peach fuzz.
Right. Okay.
So the way he has painted the skin texture looks like if I were to touch it, it would feel like the hairless rats I used to own. It would feel like soft.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's yes. It's frightening. I'm not sure which one more scared of, that hairless rats, or that hairless rats exist, or that Chris has done an awesome job with this mole rat. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely that skin texture has definitely got that feel to it, and I love
that peach fuzz kind of vibe. It's
I'm loving the tiny sort of blind eyeball dot in there. And yeah, nice work, Chris. Good one. Maxwell's been painting some goblins. Oh, where are these goblins from? I wonder if are these goblins from Battle Masters? Did Mark paint up some Battle Master stuff last time around? But they have those funky movement trays that they're on. The Goblins of Grom and the Goblins of Uglub. I think it's great. They got that little shield design there. Can you go and paint? Are those painted on, or are those decals there, Mark? So they look really very cool. But yeah, nice work. Always fun painting goblins. Goblins. Oh, Ashley Bowman, a plague mask.
Very in theme.
Yeah, yep. Very very of today, and also of the 1300s. But no, I've always been a big fan of minis with Plague Mask. Definitely looks
It's a
cool.
good aesthetic.
Yeah, yeah. And I love those vials as well. The bottles around the belt, looking very cool. Nice, ready to hurl and cause some mischief and mayhem. But no, nice work, Ashley. Great. Oh, David Nolan. This mini is from I think the Bear Clan from Blood Rage by come on.
Very nice.
Yeah, looking very cool. It's kind of weird. The models are in PVC, so they have a little bit of flexibility in them, but they've also got so much detail. I think David's done a great job here of pulling out all that detail. I love the work around the face of the bear, that snout and the nose there. Just the variations in tone around that fur, looking really nice. Great work, Dave. Oh, yeah. So this is. Oh, I did ask where this was from. Someone just told me. I can't remember where.
I commend anyone who is willing to paint a sugar skull.
Yeah, fantastic work there, and just there's so much. I didn't get all that detail there, but the texture on the coat, the work on the underside, like the underside of the brim of the hat, as well. That little detailing there. Loads of work has gone into this, and it's looking fantastic. I think you've got beautiful contrasts going on with the textures and the tones. Looking really nice. Great work, Cornish Mikey. Excellent. Brenda Brown painting up an tank buster and an ammo grot. Looking very cool. I think just the way that the orc is sighting down that missile launcher, where it's got that big rocket on the end, and you just know that as soon as he presses the button to fire it, he's going to get blasted in the face. But, looking good there. I think the grot with those red eyes is looking very evil, super evil. But yeah, coming along nicely. Excellent. Mariano is painted up. This is an old Chaos Sorcerer from King's Workshop. And it's just got just a wonderful old sort of charm to it. Is it Chaos Sorcerer? Maybe it's a Necromancer. I could be wrong. But it's got that wonderful texture to it, to the sculpt. You've done a great job of pulling out there, Mariano. It looks very nice. That skin looks very sort of dirty and unwashed. Looks great. Nice work. Indeed. Cool. And there we go.
That's my progress so far.
Oh, cool. Oh, so it's like a stormy day.
Stormy day. I haven't done any of the crests of the waves or anything like that. I'm just trying to put paint on the canvas.
Cool. Are you going to be using for that? Are you going to be using like an inch wide flat brush like that? Are you going to be using that to sort of stipple on the
yeah. So if I pop this up and bring it kind of close, you can see that I have like one baby crest of kind of the waters there.
Yep.
So, and the colors sadly aren't super picked up. Right there in that transition, it's actually a dark green transitioning into that translucency. But pretty much I'm just going to go and be blobbing on all the stippling so that you kind of that wave effect. But right now I'm just having fun painting clouds.
Excellent.
Happy little clouds.
Happy little clouds. Nice. That's good.
So.
Oh, Scott Beale says Raging Heroes. I think you're right there. I think and David Moffat also says Cornish Monkeys is from Raging Heroes. Yep, that's right. I think you are correct. So yeah, Raging Heroes is a company from Italy, I believe, who have loads of fantastic female miniatures. So they have, I think, all of their minis are female. So they have some for like futuristic sci-fi gaming, and also for fantasy gaming. But that one looks awesome. A great job on it. Was that you just doing some stippling there?
Nope, that was just me popping on some more colors.
Right. Cool.
I'm trying to see if I can mimic the color scheme, but not as harshly in the sky.
Yep.
So it's gonna kind of make everything flow really nicely and draw the eye.
Right.
But because I'm focusing on the wave, I don't want to take away either.
Okay.
It's been a really long time since I've done anything with the clouds. I'm
Right.
trying to remember. I'm like, how do I draw clouds? The answer is any way you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't feel that way.
Well, I think to get that, to get again that sort of, I guess there's a level of translucence in clouds as well.
There is, yeah.
It depends on the clouds and the lighting situation, that sort of thing, as to how much it shows up. But yeah, clouds can be tough to get that.
That nice kind of
The satisfying real look to it. Yeah. So
that picture that you wanted to look at.
okay, so who wants to be blown away?
Me.
always.
You're about to be blown away. There we go. Check that out.
That is insane.
Yep. So across the middle there, that reflection, it might immediately look as if the helmet is just so highly polished that it's mirrored and it's reflecting it. But it's not.
But it's not.
No, that's painted. And you can see it comes around, and the other reflection that's going on there is it's like a castle walls and turrets.
That is insane.
It is, isn't it?
Oh my God. Gosh, that's too much.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Kirill Kanaev, insanely good Russian painter. Amusing enough, he's also he's a big, tall guy, looks like a bear. But yeah, amazing work.
I can't. I'm gonna turn in my paintbrush now. Sorry, guys.
But no, see, for me, knowing that I'll never be able to do that.
Weight off the shoulders.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm glad there's somebody else doing that around the place. Yeah, Mike G, that reflection is painted on, and yes, it is crazy. Absolutely insane. Kirill does some of the box art for some of the companies that make those busts. I can't remember the name of them right now. But there's some great sort of Eastern European and Russian companies that make those. So just yes, completely insane. Amazing.
I have one last question for us.
Okay. Yep.
To kind of discuss today.
Cool. Go for it.
Is there a piece of advice aimed at beginner painters that you think is unhelpful?
Anything negative. I think that when you are beginning and starting and just learning how to paint, I think a lot of people get so caught up in being good or as good as other painters that they see and they admire that they put too much pressure on themselves and then they give up on learning things because it doesn't fit in that certain mold of where their goal is. So I see a lot of people who end up just getting, I guess, overwhelmed. And it's kind of like, no, take a step back. Let yourself be bad. And I think that's the real key part of any person who's learning how to paint. Because I see so much like overwhelming advice where it's just like, do this and do this and do this and do this, and the box of what you're allowed to do gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Screw the box. Just paint. It's fine. I mean, I definitely think, you know, learning things and pushing yourself are very important. And I think that, you know, learning color theory and learning certain rules with proportions and things like that are all important. But if they're getting in the way of you actually enjoying yourself, it's awesome. That's it.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. It's I've talked about the painting spectrum before and where people are on their journey sort of across the painting spectrum. So if you're starting sort of here or starting here, working your way through, and you want to get to the point where you're painting like 𝘽𝙧𝙤𝙤 at this end of the spectrum. So just started 𝘽𝙧𝙤𝙤. As you move through, you learn things, you learn new things, and you forget, not forget, but you lose you start doing things unconsciously. It doesn't mean you're doing things in your sleep, but you no longer have you're no longer making a conscious decision to do them. You're just doing them normally or as part of your process. So as people move along that journey, there are more and more things that they won't think about why they were doing them anymore. They'll just be doing them. And so when they impart advice to somebody who's just starting, they might have forgotten those steps that they went through to get to that point. So it might be that they're imparting advice that is too advanced for beginner painters. It's kind of a tough thing to go through that process and be able to remember what it was like when you started, and what would have been the best things to learn for you. It can be difficult to go through that. So, but yeah, I try to talk about it in the terms of like, there's competence and incompetence. Competence is where you can do it. Incompetence is where you can't do it. And there's conscious and unconscious approach. Conscious is where you are thinking about it when you're doing it, and unconscious is where you're not thinking about it when you're doing it. And I always apply it to learning to drive a car. So when you're like a kid, when you're like 8 years old, you don't know how to drive a car, and you don't think about knowing how to drive a car. So you are unconscious, incompetent. Then when you become a teenager, you might start thinking about it and wondering how you drive a car, but you can't. So you're still incompetent as far as having a driving skill, but you're conscious of it. So when you're learning, actually get to that learning stage, you have a conscious incompetence. And the best people to teach you to drive are people who have a conscious competence. So they know how to do it, and they think about how to teach that. And the worst people to how to teach you how to drive have an unconscious competence. Because they'll tell you to do things, but they won't explain why, because they don't think about why anymore. So I use driving as an example because my dad, because one of my first driving lessons was with my dad, who had that unconscious competence. So he was like, okay, you're driving along. Okay, it's time to change gears, change up a gear. Okay, change up another gear. Okay, we're going to turn right here, so change gears. And I changed up another gear rather than changing down. Because to that point, the only way that we'd change them was up. So I assumed we had to go up. And when I went to turn, he was like, no, no! Perhaps explanation or say exactly what you're thinking. But anyway, so I think all of that applies to miniature painting as well. That same thing. Generally the bad advice or the overwhelming amount of advice that new miniature painters will get from people who are in that unconscious competence sort of stage. There are things that they've learned, there's things that they know, they've been doing them for a while now, and they forget to explain why they're using that technique or why they're using that approach. So did that answer the question? What was it?
Yes, it did.
Excellent. Okay, cool.
We try really hard to answer questions.
Yeah. There was just a point where I was like, have I just been rambling for like half an hour?
No, no, no.
It feels like that. Sorry, but no, all good. Cool. How do we send in pics? Thomas, I think, Thomas, you're part of the Facebook group. If you're part of the Facebook group, the Painting Happy Little Minis Facebook group, the way that you can send in pics to have us talk about them on screen is post them in the group. They should go, if they go in there before Wednesday, generally Wednesdays when Leona goes through and picks out the photos, you're all good to go. If you're not a member of that group, you should sign up. So find Painting Happy Little Minis on Facebook and click Join Group. And there'll be a race. One of us will admit you. Scott Beale says, yes, that there's only one way to do any one thing. I think that, well, okay, that's the advice. That's the terrible piece of advice for the new painter. You're absolutely correct. So it should always be, here's one way you can do it. Here's a way that I like, or here's an approach that works for me. So yeah, you're exactly right there, Scott. And yes, Thomas, cool. Please join. You're more than welcome. So far on the show today, I've gone through and done some highlighting on the fabric here on this Vanguard, and done some of the little texture work that I showed off last week, week before last, with the fabric. So the little sort of like crosshatch lines were painted on the highlights to give that like a fabric kind of feel to it. So I've done that, and I've started painting the flesh, the crazy flesh of these mutated horses. They're really great. Let's see if I can get a very cool silhouette up against the. Look at that head. It's not a horse, but it's a crazy mutated steed. But yeah, now that I'm getting close, I'm going to get ready to take a whole bunch of. Oh, there we go. Yeah, pull it out. Leona's. Oh, sorry. I'm going to take up a whole bunch of photos of the Chaos Army over the next couple of weeks. I'll start posting those in the group. I went ahead and bought myself a spinner too. I was a little bit missing the spinner from the studio. But instead of
I don't have a spinner, but that's okay.
Instead of getting the little little one with that has a fairly quick sort of rotation. End up getting one that's like 12.5 inches across, but it takes almost exactly 30 seconds to do a full rotation. So it's like, okay, every one of those that I'm filming, I'm gonna have to take into iMovie and speed it up a little bit.
That'll be fine. That'll be good.
Yeah.
I don't have a spinner. I can.
Are there gears on the bottom, Dave?
I don't believe so.
Because sometimes they allow you to like change the speed.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This was not an expensive one.
Gotcha.
So my thinking is that they might not have. Mind you, there might be a way that I could pop the bottom off it and do some jiggery pokery. But then I might
jiggery
pokery. I might get it to a point where it rotates so fast that the miniatures fly off it. Unless I blue tack them down or something like that. I think that'd be funny. But yes.
And then Gretchen, what have you been able to accomplish today?
I have almost a sky. Okay. Haven't made any of the crests or anything like that. Just been adding depth to the sky. I'll probably the highlights with acrylics are usually the last to go.
Yeah.
So.
Is that? Can you hold that up again, Gretchen?
Yeah.
So over on the, I guess the side that would be on your right when you're looking at it, no, the other side. Yep. On there. Is that like the shoreline?
I don't know yet. Okay. I am just kind of going back and forth and finagling until it looks right.
Cool. Excellent. You think you'll have that finished this afternoon?
I'll have it finished by the time we're done.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
hopefully.
Super.
Maybe.
I was thinking later this afternoon. I thought I was like.
Now I'm not so sure anymore, Dave.
I was putting a little bit too much pressure on you, but
oh,
we're gonna go for it. For sure.
So we'll find out.
Cool. Excellent.
Try to get the. I don't think I have big enough paintbrushes for exactly what I want to do.
Cool. Well, Thomas said that he's just posted his best painted dragon, so he has joined and he is ready to start posting. Very cool. And Chris says maybe add some wave crests to break up the area. That's okay, Chris, if you weren't listening earlier. That's going to be the last.
They'll definitely have wave crests. They're just not
the last thing. Last thing going on. But it should be good. Be very cool. So what else have people been painting while we've been doing this? Oh. Faplin TV can't figure out, is this live? Yep. This is live. Welcome. So yeah, we normally I guess pre-pandemic we're painting in the Game Trade Media Studios in sunny Timonium, Maryland. And we took a couple of weeks off at the start, and over the last, what did we work out? This is the fourth.
This is the fourth. We're going with wacky. We're gonna.
Yep.
We're gonna agree with them. We're gonna say that it is.
Our fourth hobby hangout. So that's what we're doing now. Oh, but Thomas TV says, nice. Normally the stream here is a replay from YouTube. Cool. Well, there we go. So
it's just usually a replay in general. So yes, they are correct.
Okay, radio. Cool. Leona is our voice of technology. We don't know how it's done. And of course, David Moffat had to quote Queen. Yep.
We don't know anymore. It's just it's been too long.
Fantasy.
I'm singing that right now.
Right now, in your head. Nice. No, thanks for that. Welcome. Was that the third eye? Not sure. Leona
They're
is
talking about me.
Yes. There we go.
My camera isn't working, so yes.
You know what we need to do, Leona, is instead of that test pattern kind of thing, we need to have just like a red eye, like Hal from.
I do. I need the red eye of Sauron.
Oh no, not of Hal. Of Hal.
Yes, red eye of Sauron.
No, of Hal, so that you can say, "What are you doing, Dave?"
Oh, yeah.
I mean, sure, that too, I guess.
Yeah. The opportunity's there. I mean, you could switch it up each week if you like.
True.
That'd be fine.
Also,
So,
Also,
a little earlier when you asked about Bale said Reaper Orcs.
okay. Oh, for the Reaper Orcs for the.
What people are currently painting.
Oh, what people are currently painting. Reaper Orcs. Cool. Excellent. Thank you. For a second there, I had no context and was flummoxed.
From YouTube.
Oh, we've got a She-Wolf mini from Honor and Treachery set that I've started. Very cool. That's from Wrath of Kings. And Chris Layfield says, I wish I could be painting. These calls seem to be endless. Shame that somebody has to work. There we go. Excellent. Eddie Drude is working on Shadespire Warbands. Just finished the Skaven. Cool. Nice. There's some. That's Skaven Warband's got some beautiful models in it. And there's one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eddie, but there's a great one sort of perched up on a. It looks like a little archway, like a collapsed entrance to a sewer. But it looks fantastic. Oh, Faflin TV says just started on the Arcadia Quest core game from 2014. Very cool. I think come on, just posted up some information about playing Arcadia Quest solo for the quarantine lockdown self-isolation period. So you should check that out if you haven't seen that already. And Mike G says, I'm finishing up Mantic zombie trolls. Great models, but a lot of exposed muscles I had problems with. Do you mean it's like exposed muscles because the flesh had sort of sloughed off? If that's the case, that's kind of disgusting. But awesome at the same time.
It's very good.
And then he said, yes, it was leaping off a sewer grate for the one of the Skaven models in that warband. Very cool.
Getting some clouds. Yeah, I should be able to finish. I think so.
Cool. I'm not going to have this guy finished by any stretch.
I have many more years of acrylics painting experience than I do miniature painting.
Mini painting, nice. Nice. I just
For
know
once.
a lot of work.
I said for once I have the experience on my side.
Cool. That's good. Nice. And cool. I don't know if you remember when we painted up the some of the Warcry models. Christian, I think we did I think it was you, me, and Rick. We did a Warcry stuff. I finally decided to get the get all the untamed beasts, which are the kind of the feral looking guys.
Ah, yeah.
The bone weapons. So this is one that I painted on the show way back when. So I've finally gone through and assembled the rest of them, and so I'll be painting those up to add to my Chaos Army. So that should be fun.
There's a question from the chat.
Oh, question from the chat. Which we have. Just curious, I've started having an issue with my brushes fraying. Any tips on avoiding fixing this? So I'm assuming it means they're sort of starting to separate and maybe bending over a little bit at the tip. If that's the case, there's two things to look at. If I find out what the brush is made of, if it's it'll either be synthetic or natural hair. Generally, synthetic brushes will last. They're a little bit more durable than natural brushes, but they can start to lose their points a little bit earlier. So if you're looking for fine detail painting, natural hair brushes are a better way to go. But if they are, my mind's gone blank. If they are synthetic and they get that little curl at the top, there isn't a lot that you can do to sort of fix that, as far as I'm aware. For that, any sort of fraying or splaying out, whether it's natural hair or synthetic, I'd recommend getting some brush soap. There's a number of different companies that do brush soap. I'm just going to rummage around on my desk here for a second and then discover that I can't find it. But generally, you can pick those up from hobby stores. I think might be Masterson's does a brush soap. I have some brush soap from Broken Toad, who are a UK company. But the idea basically is that you just generally get some water on your brush, you rub it onto the brush soap and lather it up and let that sit there. So it acts like a conditioner, particularly for natural hair brushes, and that will start to dislodge any dried paints that you have on your brush. Because generally the reason that they're starting to sort of splay out, let's see if I can get that there, would be that the paints have sort of sunk down into this area and dried, and as they dry, they push the bristles apart. So washing your brush can help start to remove those chunks of paint from in the middle. So hopefully that'll help there. Yep. Or Eddie Drew says buy new brushes. That's generally what I tend to do as well. Once you get into that needing to wash your brushes, use the brush soap on your brushes on a regular basis, it's probably a good idea to buy some new brushes, have them ready and waiting in the wings, like this one. That'll be the next one I open. Fapland says, I got to ask Dave, is that wall painted like that, or is it simply just a very dirty basement wall? A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. No, it's actually, I think the last time this wall was painted was in 1913. Because yes, this is my basement wall. It's it's very textured because it's a stone wall with plaster and whitewash sort of slapped over it. So it has a texture to it, and it hasn't been cleaned. So yes, there we go. So that's what we get for working in my basement.
All right, folks, we're going to be ending soon.
Oh, no, I didn't finish then.
In about 4 minutes.
Okay.
4 minutes, Gretchen. You can do it.
4 minutes.
Ready, begin.
It's cool. It's cool. All I need technically is white. I don't need to keep fussing on the clouds. We're good.
Yep. They're just fine. Just fine.
Clouds can look like whatever.
Yep. Eddie says, dry brushing is what happens to my old brushes. That and painting glue and textures on bases. Actually, yeah. Tell you that brush that I just held up in front of the camera there. This is the one that I use to apply PVA glue to the bases of my minis before putting sand over them. But yeah, that's definitely how that ends. Painting glue, for sure. That's what you do. How's it going? Oh, is that a wash on the wall? Someone maybe asked. The Games Workshop wash? No, no, sadly not. I'm a little bit worried. Like, I don't like to touch it because I'm not sure how much lime is included in the whitewash that was put over it. But yeah,
That's a bit terrifying.
yeah. I just figure that as long as I don't disturb it, if we're just sitting next to it, it's okay.
Also, Scott has to go. Bye.
Bye, Scott.
Bye, Scott. Have a good week. We'll see you next Thursday. Very cool. It's man wash. No, I didn't say that. Ew. It's just old. One day I'll be able to go through and finish the basement. Yes, as Vigo says there, don't disturb it and it won't eat you. It's totally what I'm doing.
That's very true.
But there's no mold on it or anything like that. It's just dust. Century of dust.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for everyone who is currently watching. Thank you for joining our hobby hangout. Sorry if it was a little bit glitchy.
You made it work. You made it work, Leanna.
At certain points.
It is.
Join our Facebook group, Painting Happy Little Minis. That's where you can find us throughout the week. And we will be back here next week on Thursday, hopefully with my face. And you can chat with us then. So we will talk to you guys later.
Okay, just before we go, Gretchen, how's it looking?
Yes.
Ha!
Ha!
Yeah!
Gretchen!
Awesome.
It is a wave.
Yep. Nice.
That's
Thanks very much,
awesome.
everybody. We'll catch you,
All right. And we will see you all next week.